you're creating a new task for a project, the best place to do this from is within the project page. You can always create it from the task page and then link it to the project, but it's normally going to be easiest to do it from here. Um, One thing to make sure of is that the account managers and the creators are talking. Normally, the account manager is the one who's going to be creating all of the new tasks and documenting all of them in here. Sometimes they may ask the creative to, or the department head may be going in and creating those tasks. Um, Make sure that whenever a new task is created, that there's a conversation about it, that you're not just piling on a lot of tasks without having had a conversation about it. That way, they're fully aware and they can be fully accountable for making sure that it gets done. Um, so there are a couple places you can go in and create it. You can create it from right here, but it's normally going to be ideal to create it from right here with this button. So if we click New Task and then Open, then it's going to open it up in this full page view so we can add all of our information without getting lost or buried in anything. So we'll notice it's already tagged to the project, and I'm already tagged as the account manager. So then first off, we want to label it. So in this case, we're going to say that the client has come to us and said, in addition to designing the logo, now I want an animated version of the logo that can be used in intros and outros, that they can use in a couple different places, and that the soapbox team can use in a couple different places. So we have a new deliverable of an animated logo. So make sure that you label it. Again, keep your task name pretty simple. Don't add a lot of details. Save that for down here. Next, we're just going to go through, fill it out really quickly with the name of our creative and the tentative deadline. If we've pinned down a clear deadline with the client, that is the deadline that we want to put in. And we're going to have different checkpoints on this project, but we want to make sure the deadline in here is that client delivery deadline. Next, we'll make sure that the status, as of now, we'll leave it as not started. If you're ever going in and changing things, or as soon as somebody starts it, they'll switch that status to in progress. Right now, when we're creating it, we'll want to leave it at not started unless we know they're already starting to work on it. Next, we want to tag our different departments. We'll tag design and video because it's going to be a collaborative effort there. And then we've got this file section that we'll keep blank right now, but you'll notice we have a place for a Google Drive file. We have a place for a review link if that's on Frame.io, or if that's on another platform, maybe it's on Canva. And then files and media, here it can also be an embedded link, or it can be a direct file upload. So this is where you're going to be keeping those files. Keep that in mind as you move through the project. Normally those are just going to be hidden though. Next, you want to fill out as much information as you have. Again, you're not necessarily going to have 100% of all of this information here, but whatever you do know, we want to keep it documented in our tasks. So again, in terms of our description, we want to say animated logo, about 4 seconds in length, simple, clean motion. Again, any information you have from the client that you determined in that conversation with them. And in a perfect world, you'll have a more detailed description than this. Right now, this is just our bare bones basic description to make sure that we don't forget anything and we can flesh it out later if we need to. Next, we want to identify our deadlines. If you haven't clearly identified these deadlines, we want to make sure we have those conversations. So if this is our deadline, then we'll want to look at the calendar and work backwards from there and figure out when do we want to have these done. So you'll input each of those. Maybe this is going to be March 24th. If that's March 24th, then okay, this is probably going to be by Friday the 21st. And then that first lead approval is maybe the 19th. So we'll put those in. That way we can keep really good track of where things need to be. So people can just click on it and have a quick look at this without us having to change the deadline up here multiple times. Now, this is where, again, depending on the scope of the project, you may use this area more than others. If you're working on the logo, again, most of the logo work is going to be in the logo task. Here is where you can add any links, any screenshots, any sketches, even just a written update. This can also be a place where if we haven't uploaded it to Frame.io, for example, if we haven't uploaded it here, and if we aren't leaving feedback in there, we can be leaving that feedback in here. So this is where we'll keep track of all of that. Now down here, again, depending on how much we know, this is what I want to make sure that we're using this effectively. So in terms of delivery specs, okay, here we said it's going to be 4 seconds in length, but now here we're going to talk about the different file types and the different sizing. So maybe we want to make sure it's 1080 by 1080. Maybe we're going to deliver an MP4 plus a JPEG, or not a JPEG, probably a GIF. So if we're delivering an MP4 plus a GIF, um, and then if we want to determine if there are any other sizing constraints we need to be aware of, maybe we're also going to deliver a 200 by 200. Maybe we're going to deliver a 4,000 by 4,000. So you work out between the client and the creative team, you identify what those final delivery specs are going to look like. And make sure you offer any additional clarification here. Maybe we want to make sure that we're always exporting it at a 300 DPI or PPI. That's going to help us make sure that we know what we're doing, that everyone's working from the same file size, and that when files are changing hands, we're still consistent with how we're sizing it, how we're exporting it, and we know exactly what type we need for us to hand over to the client. Now here, resources and details from the client. This is going to vary again based on the project. If you're working on, maybe if you're working on the brand guide, maybe you've asked them to provide, here's a list of different websites that we like. Where this is, again, more of a deviation from the original task, they probably have already provided a lot of that on that other task. I'll show you really quickly another example that may be helpful to look at. If we jump back into our example project here, and maybe we go to the mood board page, here we can see that, again, we've built this out. We have a brief description here. In terms of delivery specs, we don't need exact dimensions, but we know we're going to be delivering Canvas slides. Now here we can see they've sent us some resources. They've sent us, these are things that we like, these are things that we don't like. As we're creating a mood board for the brand and for their website and for their logo, we have some of these that we've received from the client. Again, this could also be, maybe they send us a link to their existing logo. And maybe we keep a screenshot on that other task. Maybe we have a screenshot or a quote of their feedback so far on the existing logo, the new logo that we're designing for them. And again, here in this drafts and notes, if you're doing a mood board, this can be a great place to gather a lot of that and then leave little notes. That's going to help us stay aligned. That way, when we switch this from in progress and all of a sudden switch to lead approval, the lead on the team, they're going to be able to look at this and have all the context they need in order to go through and evaluate it really well. So that's all you really need to know about adding a task. If you come over to the task page here, we have the same button right here that'll create a task, but you'll need to manually tag it with the new project. It just creates an empty task that right now isn't categorized anywhere, so it's going to be hard to find anywhere except on your own task page. So keep that in mind and remember to create those tasks in the projects most of the time. If you run into other questions, talk to the account managers or talk to your supervisors and they'll help you with creating tasks.